Sehr gut.
Thanks. So, chapter 48, Posik 22. What this is, we're holding at the moment here after Yaakov Avinu's blessing to his two grandchildren, Ephraim and Manasseh. He then sums up that whole interchange between him and Yosef with a very fascinating bracha that he gives to Yosef himself, because he realizes that Yosef is the leading figure, at least for the time being, and the koyach to carry out all that he will require, and the looking after all the tribes after his leaving the world, at least for Goloi anyway, is all in the hands of Yosef. So he gives Yosef a special blessing and a special adequate. You guys don't sit there without a sefer. You can't follow these lessons unless you have to have a sefer.
Just open and put it in front of you.
The Gemara says that when you look into the letters, they add wisdom. But if you just listen, you drift.
Yeah.
So, chapter 48, verse 22. So, Yosef now Yaakov Avinu now turns to Yosef, and he says to him, he's about to pass away, and he says the Eibishter will take you back to Eretz Israel. That's in Posik 21. And then in Posik 22, he says to him, Vani nosati lecho, I'm going to give you Shechem achad alachecha. I'm going to give you as it were, a portion, an actual portion, one extra portion over all of your brothers. Asher lokati, and where did I get it from? Where do I have this special portion that I'm going to give you? I took it biyad ho'emoiri. I took it away from the people in Eretz Yisrael called the Amorim, or Ha'emoiri. But Pashtus is referring to all the Amorim. Yeah, I took it from them. Becharbi uvekashti. I took it away from them through my sword and through my bow. In other words, that would imply that I made war with these, or I struggled with these in a open weaponry struggle. And I took it away from the Amori with my sword and with my bow. Yeah, referring to a bow and arrow.
Oh, the cashew.
So this whole remark on the part of Yaakov, at this key moment, he's about to use the expression, he's about to leave the world at this point. And he's giving Yosef a special blessing and Nesinas Koyach to carry out everything after he's passing. So what's this whole thing that a person like Yaakov Avinu, he says that he's going to give Yosef a special part or a special thing. We'll soon see in a minute that some people learn that it's referring to Shechem, the city of Shechem itself. Because the word Shechem happens to be the name of the way it's written here.
It's also shoulder.
But that's from that's the joined on possessive of the word Shechem. Yeah. Yeah. And so you're right. A Shechem can mean the back part of the shoulder, or coming from the back. However, there's a city called Shechem. And so we'll soon see about that in a second. However, ask yourself the question, what does Yaakov Avinu want with this whole thing that he's telling, promising Yosef? And where did he get this extra thing that he's going to give? Because l'chora, he has to divide it up amongst all these sons. And this would imply that he's giving something extra to Yosef, which would imply, and that happens to be the case according to how the Gemara understands it, that Yosef gave the Bechorah, how do you call it, the firstborn right over to Yosef.
Yes.
But there's a whole big discussion, how come he did that? How can you take away from the real Bechorah? So some people say he didn't really take away, but he did. He took away the monetary property side of it from Reuven, and he gave it to Yosef. But Reuven still remained his Bechorah, and still had certain honorable statuses as the Bechorah. It's a whole big long discussion, and the great commentators, which we don't need to go into it right now. But however, ask yourself the question: how come Yaakov, just before he passes away, praises himself that where did he get this from? I mean, what does it really matter where he got it from? Since he has got it and he's going to give it to Yosef, that's the main thing. Lagabi, all the other brothers, he doesn't tell them where he got that part of Israel, how he got it. All of a sudden here he says that he got it in a warfare with the Moiri, and he was victorious with his sword and with his, his bow. That's a very unusual statement. Why would Yaakov, mention that at such a key minute that he fought, a physical war, and he used a sword and how do you call it, a keshet. That's unusual that Yaakov should say that. Mm-hmm. And we don't find, like I said, anywhere else that he says he got this through this particular struggle. Hashem gave him Eretz Yisrael, and he has a divine right from Hashem to divide it up as he sees it. What is it of importance that he fought a war for this particular portion, what he's going to give Yosef? So, in order to understand all that, we're going to have to look in Rashi, because there's a few things that Rashi has to say. But before we do that, it's customary in these classes that we tell a story, and from that story we come into a whole appreciation, hopefully, of what the main point we're gonna make in the class, and that is that I want to tell you a little story. I don't think it's all that well known. That the Rebbe Rashab, that's to say the Frierdiker Rebbe's father, he saw the Rebbe, the Tzemach Tzedek, when he was a young boy until about the age of 5 or 6. He still saw his grandfather, the Tzemach Tzedek. Yeah. There's stories about the interchanges between him and the Tzemach Tzedek. And there was once when he came in to visit the Tzemach Tzedek. No, it's not what you think. He came in to visit the Tzemach Tzedek, and the Tzemach Tzedek was sitting with some other guests that he had, important people from the Chassidim, and all of a sudden he saw the Rebbe Rashab come in. He all of a sudden lifted up the Rebbe Rashab and put him on his knee, on his lap, holding him like this. Then he took the strimal off his head. He had a big strimal on. He took the strimal off his head and put it on the head of the Rebbe Rashab. You put the strimal on the Rebbe Rashab. And then he looked at the Chassidim, and he looked at the Rebbe Rashab like that, and he said, do you see everybody? He said, pink das schwer. You want to sit in the class? Yeah. Are you going to pay attention? Are you going to be with us? Yeah. Okay, so you can sit in there. take yourself a chumash. So, who was the father-in-law of the Tzemach Tzedek?
The Middle Rebbe.
The Mittler Rebbe. Very nice. The Mittler Rebbe was the father-in-law of the Tzemach Tzedek. So, the Tzemach Tzedek held the Rebbe Rashab with his shtreimel on his head, and he said to all these people that were present, look, this is exactly my father-in-law. He said, take a look at him, and this is exactly my father-in-law.
Wow.
So you might say, well, that's a very interesting, sentimental occurrence. You have to realize that by our Rabbeim, there were no interesting, sentimental occurrences. Everything that occurred and everything they did or said had a significance.
Wow.
Yeah, like the Rebbetzin Rivka, that she was the mother of the Rebbe Rashab, she said that my son has never said anything which is a joke, you know. He never says anything, you know, that he doesn't really in some way mean. So the fact that the Tzemach Tzedek said, look at him, this is exactly my father-in-law, has something to say. So what do I want to suggest, perhaps it has to say, is like this, that in Lubavitch there was always a tremendous emphasis on prayer. You know. Prayer was a very, very important part of the whole Hasidus and the whole development of what the Hasidus is supposed to be poil on a person, you know. They wanted very much to slow down, you know, the davening and encourage Chassidim that they should daven, you know, with great kavanah, and even if it took them a long time, they wanted what's called tefillah ba'arichas.
Right.
And therefore, you know, I would like to use my influence to slow this minyan that's here down a little, because it's running very close to a Balbatish minyan. You know what a Balbatish minyan is? The Balabati, when they double, you know, it's a mera, that's what's gradually beginning to develop. Anyway, I don't mean anything bad, but I only would like to try and slow it down a little bit. But anyway, whatever, in Lubavitch there was a big, and particularly in the time of the Rebbe Rashab, there was a very big emphasis on, you know, davening barichas. There was a whole group of people that they were called the Oivdim. I think I've spoken about this before. They were the ones that were involved very much in Avodas Tefillah. You follow? But that was in the time of the Rebbe Rashab. Now, when did all that begin? When did it really get its big influence and start off the whole idea of people davening long and barichas and these bonanas, you know, thinking carefully before they daven for a long time and everything? It began with the Mittler Rebbe. You follow? The Alter Rebbe spoke about it, and in Tanya we find a lot when they get to the Beinoni, the very classical Beinoni. We find by him a lot of davening and barichas. But the Alter Rebbe brought down the whole amazing light of Teres Chassidus into the world. The Mittler Rebbe already had that great, how do you call it, Yerusha, that had already been started, and that's what it was a massive effect on the world of Chassidus Chabad, Davke. The Mittler Rebbe took that and he placed this immense, and it was in his day very, very strong, and he wrote all sorts of letters, the Mittler Rebbe, and takonas. He made like rules. The people had to daven listen this way, and they mustn't walk around when they're davening, and they have to pay careful attention, and it has to go very slow, and everybody has to daven. They're very good. All happened with the Mittler Rebbe, you follow? So the Tzemach Tzedek holds up the Rebbe Rashab, and he puts a strimel on his head, and he said, "Oh, this is the Mittler Rebbe." If I take a look and you'll see it. And that's exactly what happened. The Rebbe Rashab came back to this whole emphasis on tefillah, very much, very, very much. And he demanded not only of the Barabatim, but the Bochrim. He demanded very much the Bochrim down, long. It was, we live in a different world. It was very much. He demanded very much the idea of learning the Chassidus and thinking about it, and being involved, being in it. That's called tefillah b'hizbonanos. Now, I'm not recommending that all of a sudden all of the Bochrim here daven with hizbonanos, because I don't know, how it would all sort of work out. But we've got to realize that that's what was basically very, very much the sort of flow and like the feed-in that there was in Lubavitch. So I want to talk now about something which refers basically to that. So that's why I'm putting down that little backdrop. And now we're going to get into, and therefore, if you study the Rebbe Rashab's Chassidus, the big, like the Iron Base and the other great Hemsheichim that the Rebbe Rashab produced, then you see the Mittler Rebbe. You can see it as very, very similar, to the whole sort of flow, and unbelievable flow, one chapter after another, after another, after another. The Mittler Rebbe's a Maimon can have about 39, 40 chapters in one Maimon.
Yeah.
So I say I'm not really I thought it would have been a sign of surprise. Well, that's the way it is.
I've seen them.
Yeah, you can see it in the story.
Yeah.
And the Rebbe Rashab's Chassidus, he started saying the Hemshech Ayin Beis in Ayin Beis, and he finished in Ayin Vov, So it was altogether about 40 years that Hemshech of the Ayin Beis. One after the other, one Maimon running into the other, whole time developing. There are 4 solid years. It was all just one huge perfection. That's like the Mittler Rebbe. That's got a similarity to the Mittler Rebbe. So, what's it got to do with all this? So let's get down and take a look. I want to take a look in Rashi, what he says about this pasuk. But right near the end, he explains what we surprised ourselves, that Yaakov Avinu would mention that, he fought, and he took it away from the Ameri, Becharbi Ubekashti. What's Yaakov Avinu doing with a cherev and a keshes and all that? So, up till then, Rashi comments at great length. What does it mean, the word Shechem Echad? And so he tells me, according to one pshat, that it means the city of Shechem, Bepashtas, that the extra thing he wanted to give Yosef was Shechem, the city of Shechem. Yeah, and he said, where did I get the city of Shechem? Yeah, I got it from, I fought the Ameri, and I beat him and I got it. That's one shot. And the truth of the matter is that in the end, the Bnei Yisrael who took the bones of Yosef into Eretz Yisrael, where did they bury them?
In Shechem.
Yeah, they buried them in Shechem. And so, to a certain extent, all the pshatim that Rashi says all come true one way or the other. Then he starts off a new line, Rashi, and he said the word Shechem can be from the word Shechem, like you said. And a Shechem means like a portion or a part or a chelik. So he said, I'm going to give you, I want to give over the Bechoiro to you, so I'm going to give you an extra part, because I have to, since you're going to be like the Bechoiro, I need to give you 2 parts. So I'm going to give you your extra part, and that's going to be a portion specially for you, not necessarily saying exactly what portion it was, but, it'll be whatever it'll be, and you will get it. And where did I get it from? That I can give you this extra portion, because I fought the Emiri, Becharbi Uber Bekashti. You fought it with my sword and with my bow and arrow. So Rashi says, Yasher Lokati Miyad Hoyamoiri, and who is that? He said Miyad Esau. Originally Esau was the Bechor. Esau was born before Yaakov.
Yeah.
So he was the Bechor. He said, I took the Bechor that I'm giving you now, I took that away from Esau. And he said, why is he called the Moiri? Because he used to do Maisa Emoiri. He did bad and unpleasant things like the Goyim did in Eretz Israel. So he's called Emoiri. Not necessarily that Esau was an Emoiri. But he did what the Emorim do, so he's called the Emorim. Then he says, Dova Acher, Shahoy Tzad Oviv Be'imrei Fiv. He was a man of the mouth, he was a man of talk. In other words, he used to hunt his father with his mouth. You remember that?
Yeah.
They used to deceive Yitzchak by asking him all sorts of very frum questions and all sorts. But he didn't mean it, but he captured his father with his mouth. So he said, therefore, Esau is referred to as the man of the mouth. Emoiri means a talker. Emoir from Lashon Amira. So he was a big talker, Esau, and I took away from him this portion, because I'm giving you the Bechorah, and I took that from Esau. He said, I took it with my sword and with my bow. So Rashi says, Chokmosei utefilosei. That Yankov Avinu said, how did he get it? He took it away from Esau. And with what did he take it away? He said, with my tefillah, with my chokhmah, and with my tefillah. You see, with my chokhmah and my tefillah. Shalom Aleichem, I mean, it would appear that he took it away with a sword and with a bow. And Rashi, it's unusual that Rashi would just learn B'derech HaPshat, something that's like, very homiletic. It's not really a simple pirush. What does it mean? Charbi Kashti. So therefore Rashi says, you know what it means? It means his chokmah and his davening and his tefillah. He got it from Esau through those 2 things, through chokmah and tefillah. So, if we look in the Targum Onkelos, the Targum Onkelos, all the Chumoshim have that, on that posik, on chapter 2, he said, I'm going to give you a chelik, extra chelik, like Rashi learns in the second pshat, and he said, the Nasivas miyoda de Moroa, I took it away from the hands of the Mori, bitzloisi ubavuosi. I took it away with my prayer and with my bakosha, literally. Bavuusi is in Aramic my request, or my...
That's right.
My asking bakosha. So the Targum Onkelos, he says something similar to Rashi, but different. Rashi goes in the way of the Targum Onkelos, but in a different way. Because the Targum Onkelos also is bothered by something, and he doesn't want to learn that there was a war here, with a sword and a bow. He said Yaakov took it away, albeit, from, let's say, Esau, who he was an Emoira, he took it away from him, but he did it through his, his prayer, tzloisi in Aramic, or in the Lashon of the Gemara, and the Zoya. Tzloisi means davening. My prayer yeah, and my request, or my asking Hashem, my bakosha. So, first of all, he said that the sword means davening, and then he says that the word kashti, which means a bow, can also be taken as the word bakosha. You follow?
Yeah.
So he said it means that, like in davening, when you pray,
Yeah.
part of your prayer usually ends up in the form of a request. You're asking Hashem for something. Yeah. So he said, my davening included also that I asked Hashem. You follow?
Yeah.
So, ask yourself the question, why don't they want to learn the simple pshat? Why is it that they don't say that this was a war Yaakov, had with the Amori, and he beat him with the sword? They learn the pashtas. That it's not like that. Rashi says the simple pshat. The Targum Onkelos is just translating for you. So he should say what's written there. He doesn't. He said, yeah, with my prayer and with my request. So, this is a Gemara in Masechta Bava Basra, which is a very long Masechta. It's way over towards, getting towards the end of it. Not all that close, but it's getting, towards the end of Masechta Bava Basra. In page 123, over there, Daf 123, the Gemara gets onto this inyan, and it says that Yaakov wants to give Yosef an extra chaylik, and he says, where did he get it? He got it Miyad Amori, with a fight, with a war, with his sword and with his bow. So you know what the Gemara says? The Gemara says Yaakov Avinu couldn't have done that. Yeah. So why not? Why couldn't he have done it? Because there's a pasuk in Tehillim which says that I will not rely on my sword, and my salvation will only be from Hashem. You follow?
Yeah.
There's a pasuk in Tehillim which says I won't rely on my sword, my salvation is only in Hashem. So, since there's such a pasuk in the Nach, even though that's before, that's a long, Yaakov Avinu, a lot before David HaMelech, he said that Tehillim, but there's such a principle in Elikus that you don't rely on your sword and your bow. So if you're Yaakov Avinu, then for sure you don't rely on it. So therefore the Gemara says no. It means with his davening and with exactly the lotion that the Targum says. Mm-hmm. It means b'tzloisi u'b'vuosi, with my prayer and my request. That's what the Gemara says. That's the simple pshat. That Yaakov didn't fight any war over Klali. He just got it all from his davening and from his request. You follow? So, the Targum Yonason has got a good basis. The Gemara says like him, you follow? And it's an amazing thing when you think about it, that the Gemara just assumes absolutely, but pastors, that Yaakov didn't fight any wars. He would never do that, Yaakov, because he would just rely only on what Hashem gives him, you follow? He would only rely on Elikus. And the Gemara said with the pastors, that's the pshat, and therefore it must mean something in Ruknias, and that's the pshat. You follow? So therefore Targum Onkelos, he's translating the Torah, he feels that he's got to give over what the Gemara says is the simple meaning of the word. Now, Rashi's doing the same thing. Hello? Rashi's doing the same thing. Rashi says also, ב'chokmos
Kashta.
בתפילות, chokmos ובתפילות. So Rashi learns very similar to the, but he changes the lashon, and he says with my chokmah and my davening. Now the Targum, he brings the Gemara, and they say no, with my davening and with my request. So why would Rashi change that? So you might say, well, don't ask, sort of side questions. That's not a side question. Over there in the Gemara, the great teacher of the Agaditas, the Marshor, He asked that question. He said, why has Rashi learned something that's not written, not in the Gemara, not in the Medrash? Why does Rashi say that? You follow?
Yeah.
Why does he say the Chokmosai but Tfilosai? Who mentioned Chokmosai? You follow? Evamela, that's